Hey y'all, it's Angel Audio here. Welcome to another video. This time we're gonna talk about Slender Man. Yay! I don't know if you're supposed to cheer for that. But, so I've always liked creepy shit, like, ever since I was little, because one of my earliest memories, like, the few times I lived with my mom, was, like, watching old-time, like, black and white horror movies with her. So, I've always liked scary movies. Or that translated into, like, having, like, a really big hyperfixation, like, I want to say, like, maybe 5th grade through freshman year of creepypastas, and I've always loved them, but, like, it was really bad back then. Like, I had files upon files of creepypasta and SCP, and that's all I would listen to, and it was so funny, because whenever we moved onto the family farm, I used to, like, stare out into the windows, because we have, like, a bunch of woods on our land, and I'd just stare out of the window and be like, I'm gonna see Slender Man. I'm gonna see one of my murderers. And that's not something you should want, you know? That's not usually a request, but it's what I wanted. Did I get it? Obviously not, but anyway, I think there's a bunch that goes on with Slender Man, and I feel like this is gonna be a long video, because, you know, it's one of my things that I used to, like, really, really love. But anyway, this is gonna be, like, a start of a series I think I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go into, like, a lot of creepypastas, more of my, like, more favorite ones and stuff that I used to look into all the time, because I used to look into a lot. This is gonna be, like, a lot of me rambling and talking about stuff I used to love, I used to do, so you're gonna be like, wow, what a weird, cringy middle school girl that just grew up, and it's still pretty cringy, but I'm gonna try to do a bunch of creepypastas, and then obviously get into SCPs. I'm not doing all of the SCPs, because that is way too many that they have listed, but I'm gonna, like, do one of the ones that, like, I remember and I really liked a lot, and then obviously, if anybody ever watches this, obviously people can, suggest stuff, and I will look it up, but anyway. So for the foreseeable future, I'm probably going to be talking about creepypastas, and then whenever I run out of creepypastas that I really want to talk about, and no one else has requested any, then I'll be like, guess who's talking about SCPs now? Which I feel like they're kind of, like, two in the same thing. Like, I looked up Slenderman for this video, because I was like, maybe this will give me some information that I forgot. And it was like, SCP-582, Slenderman. And I'm like, alright, I guess we're counting him. Because I think the actual, like, literal thing for SCPs is they're supposed to be just, like, any type of abnormal thing, you know? Ooh, one of my dogs just freaked me out outside my window. I just saw something moving. Anyway, yeah, so you're gonna hear me talk about Slenderman. He's my favorite. Did anybody ever play the Slenderman games? I feel like probably everybody did, but remember whenever, like, they were the big thing, and then there was, like, always 15 million different versions of it? All of them were very low quality. Like, I sort of want, oh my god, can you imagine if someone did a VR of Slenderman? Maybe they have. Maybe I need to look that up. But I remember playing it with my friend, and I used to always freak out. And you know how usually there's, like, the static before he actually shows up while you're collecting all his pages? Well, one time I was playing with a friend, and, like, for some reason, it didn't, like, give us the static before he showed up, so he just popped up, and we threw the tablet we were playing on at his mother, and we were like, no, fuck this, we can't do it, and then we went back, you know, because obviously we were middle schoolers who were like, we're super tough and shit, and we watched so many horror movies that night, and, like, they didn't matter to us, but that Slenderman game pop out at us, and we fucking almost broke my tablet that I wasn't even supposed to have, because I was pretty sure I was grounded at the time, because I was always grounded. Anyway, I don't know if this will have what I want. Maybe. I think most of the creepypasta and SCP stuff is on, like, the wiki pages, which people give, like, such a bad rap to Wikipedia. It's not that bad. People, like, go through and, like, usually fact check. Obviously, it's kind of hard to fact check this made up stuff because it is made up. As much as those two girls try to kill their friend over it, it is made up for the most part. I sometimes, in my brain and, like, all the magical stuff, I'm like, there's gotta be, like, some source of truth to it, you know, to, like, make up this thing in your mind. And I used to think these things were so real because, like, they had all those old, like, black and white photos and stuff. I remember whenever people used to make, like, videos of Slender Man, or, like, they'd be like, I saw Laughing Jack exiting this building, or I saw Jeff the Killer, da-da-da-da-da. And then, like, SCP, a lot of those videos and stuff that I used to watch were very convincing. And I was like, they have all these files. They have all these things, you know? I don't know if... What was it called? Was it Violet Town or something? That one Pokemon sound that they said actually, like, made people kill themselves. I don't know if that was a real thing that happened, because I remember when I got to college, a guy I was doing theater with, he was literally like, oh yeah, I did, like, a whole paper, a whole, like, research thing over it. I'm like, so is that a real thing that actually happened, or, you know, you never know, because some people just, like, go in, like, such a psychosis of this is so real, so it's obviously, like, something, you know? But then sometimes your brain can trick you, and it's, I don't know, it's something. We're here for the ride, folks, alright? I'm not here to tell you what's real, what's not real. Obviously, don't murder people. I just want to get my charger. Don't murder people over this, because that's bad, and you will go to jail, and you will be put under psychological help, and I will not be liable for that. Because you don't know me. I don't know you. And I have said multiple times, this makeup stuff. So, you know, as much as my little brain wanted all this to be real, I don't obviously want, like, the murders and stuff to be real, but remember whenever everybody used to be like, oh yeah, they'd totally see me and they'd be like, come murder with us. And I was such a weird, edgy thing of, you're not really edgy to do, you know? Because I'm pretty sure I would not do it. I feel bad even killing an animal. Like, I know I don't like people more than animals. Like, a human dies in a movie, I usually will not cry. But anytime an animal or something animal-like dies, I cannot do it. But I can very rarely actually harm something without feeling bad about it. Like, even, like, hitting somebody, I'll be like, oh no, I'm so sorry. So, I don't know, maybe don't murder anybody. I obviously was not going to become the mass murderer of my dreams, because for some reason everybody's like, oh my god, the murderer will for sure love me, like, Jeff the Killer's gonna see me and be like, you know what, you're the one bitch I won't stab. Jeff will stab you. I want you to know, all of you kinky bitches, not even real kinky, delusional bitches, the murderer's gonna murder you. They're gonna murder you. As much as we all like to think, I can change him, or I'm just so amazing, they'll fall in love with me, and then for sure, we're gonna, like, live together in Slender Mansion. Anybody else remember, like, whenever people kept making up stories, or, like, fanfiction, I guess, and they'd be like, they all live in Slender Mansion, and there's, like, Toby and Masky and Hoodie and Laughing Jack and Jeff and Eyeless Jack and all this, and they're like, they all live here, and then there's Sally. Oh my god, Sally. But, like, I don't know. Everyone was like, we'd for sure live there, and, like, everybody fall in love with me because Wattpad stories. Anyway, I'm just listing off all the cringy things that I've done in my childhood. I obviously don't think that now. I obviously have grown and realize that a murderer is a murderer, and if they are able to not die, that makes them even more dangerous, or if they're really hard to kill, that makes them even more dangerous, and you should for sure not befriend or hang out or do anything with those people. That's bad. Don't do it. Don't do it, no. So anyways, now that we've got the obligatory please don't kill or don't like a murderer, don't like murderers, don't like murderers. I still love horror movies, and I think it's interesting, and yeah, sometimes the actor is hot. And it's fun to, like, play pretend, but you have to have that thing in your brain that's telling you, this is not a real situation. Like, it's so cool to make, like, the art of them and be like, wow, imagine if they had abs. But genuinely, all you monster fuckers out there, you will die. They will kill you. They will kill you. You're not gonna make it. And that's my warning. I don't know if I'm gonna put that rant in every video, but it's here now. Just thought I'd put that on there, because people have killed for this creature before. It's not even a real creature. Watch me say that, and then fucking someone finds proof of Slenderman. They're like, Slenderman's real, and this dumb bitch over here said it's not. No, Slenderman's not real. Don't murder for him. Don't murder for anybody. If someone is a murderer, and you know they're a murderer, and you go, you know what, babe, that's hot, then you need to be put in a psycho facility. Psychotic? I don't know. All I know is that you need help, and I hope you get it. But with that, that's like one of my past hyperfixations that, oh my god, I need to find a Slenderman game, see if anybody's made any better quality ones. Probably not. If I find one, it's probably gonna be really old and really glitchy. Slenderman's just gonna jump out, and I'm like, shit. Anyway, so the film's wiki, I don't know. Are these just people saying words? I guess that's what everything is, but oh, okay. Wait. Okay, is it just gonna say SCP-582 instead of Slenderman? Just keep saying deity. Just keep saying deity. Give me... Oh, wait. Yeah. No? Yes. Hold on. Let me go back. I plugged you in. Hold on. But let me go back, because... maybe I'm wrong. I thought it said Slenderman. Yeah, Slenderman, 582. Film's wiki. Yeah, everything says 582. Why can't they just... It literally... Oh, that's why. Because I typed in Slenderman's SCP number whenever I was looking up other stuff. I was like, it just says Slenderman. What are you talking about? Anyway, Slenderman, Wikipedia. There we go. Hi, buddy. Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad. Come on, load, bitch. Oh, I am so mean. Okay, Slenderman! Okay, it's even disclaimer about a fictional character. Okay. Slenderman is a fictional supernatural character that originated as a creepypasta internet meme created by Something Awful forum user Eric Knudsen, also known as Victor Surge, in 2009. He is depicted as a thin, unnaturally tall humanoid with a featureless head and face, wearing a black suit. Stories of the Slenderman commonly feature his stalking, abducting, or traumatizing people, particularly children. The Slenderman has become a pop culture icon, although he is not confined to a single narrative, but appears in many disparate works of fiction, typically composed online. Fiction relating to the Slenderman encompasses many media, including literature, art, and video series such as Marble Hornets, wherein he is known as the Operator. The character has appeared in video games, Slender the 8 Pages, and his successor, Slender the Arrival, as well as inspiring the Enderman in Minecraft. He's also appeared in a 2015 film adaptation of Marble Hornets, where he's portrayed by Doug Jones, and an eponymous? How do I say the words? Eponymous 2018 film, where he's portrayed by Javier Botet. Beginning in 2014, a moral panic occurred over the Slender Man after readers of his fiction were connected to several violent acts, particularly a near-fatal stabbing of a 12-year-old girl in Waukesha, Wisconsin. The stabbing inspired the documentary Beware the Slender Man, which was released in 2016. See, this dude's everywhere. I completely forgot about Marble Hornets. Oh my gosh. Like, I used to be like, well, Marble Hornets is making something. It's a big deal now. I feel like... And I knew Enderman, obviously, was very inspired by him. I don't know. I felt like every time I looked up a Slenderman movie, though, because obviously I was in a creepypasta, anytime someone said, we're making a movie based on a creepypasta, I was like, hell yeah. But anytime I looked at it, I don't think they were really well made. I don't know, maybe I just need to look back at them. Because I remember seeing one, and it was very... Ugh, you know? But I do think I remember seeing stuff about this Victor Surge guy. Did you guys ever watch all of the old, like, creepypasta stories and stuff? I still listen to them sometimes, but, like, creepypasta, obviously, Chills. It's his voice. I honestly don't think it's that bad, but, like, everybody made such a big deal about his voice for a while. Creepypasta... Why can't I think of anybody else's name right now? Because there used to be, like, a lot of them, and they might still be going now, but... Also, Corpse. I think I used to watch his stuff, because whenever he got popular, an ex of mine was like, didn't you make me watch this guy before? And then going back and, like, re-looking at it, I was like, oh, hey, yeah, I do know some of these stories. But I think I watched Corpse's versions, but I used to watch so many creepy videos, I can't keep track of all who I've watched. Okay, anyway. Origin. The Slender Man was created on June 10th, 2009, on a thread in the Something Awful internet forum. The thread was a Photoshop contest in where users were challenged to create paranormal images. Forum poster Eric Knudsen, under the pseudonym Victor Surge, contributed 2 black and white images of groups of children, to which he added a tall, thin, spectral figure wearing a black suit. Although previous entries had consisted solely of photographs, Surge supplemented his submission with snatches of text, supposedly from witnesses, describing the abductions of the group of children and giving the character the name the Slender Man. The quote under the first photograph read, "We didn't want to go, we didn't want to kill them, but its persistent silence and outstretched arms horrified and comforted us at the same time. 1983, photographer unknown, presumed dead." The quote under the second photograph read, "One of the 2 recovered photographs from the Sterling City Library blaze, notable for being taken the day the 14 children vanished, and for what is referred to as the Slender Man. Deformities cited as film defects by officials. Fire at library occurred 1 week later. Actual photograph confiscated as evidence. 1986, photographer Mary Thomas, missing since June 13th, 1986. See, I remember seeing the photographs. And I think maybe... And, like, obviously in my little tween brain, I was like, this is for real shit. There's, like, people who are for sure dying from this. And it's so easy to convince kids, obviously. Like, we believed in, like, Santa and the Easter Bunny and Tooth Fairy and all this. And whenever you like creepy stuff... And obviously I was one of those kids who's like, I'm so edgy, I'm so creepy, no one understands me. You cling to all the creepy stuff, and whenever someone gives you evidence that looks even half true, your brain latches on, and you're like, this is it. This is real, this is my thing. Obviously it's out there. And some stuff, oh my gosh, some of the videos that people, like, were like, oh yeah, there's Laughing Jack, or there's Slenderman in this video. It's literally just them running around, and, like, you don't even see, like, anything. Like, I think one of the, like, Laughing Jack ones, I remember them, like, wandering around this old building. Also, for some reason, I thought because of these videos, anytime there was, like, an old, like, worn-out building, especially in the middle of the woods, for sure creepypastas were there. Which, I mean, there might be ghosts there, but I don't think there's actual creepypastas. But I think, literally, I don't think they showed any humanoid creature or anything. It was just them wandering around this house. And it was decrepit, and they're like, Laughing Jack was here. And I'm like, sure, bud. Whatever you need to feel good about yourself. Anyway, these additions effectively transformed the photographs into a work of fiction. Subsequent posters expanded upon the character, adding their own visual or contextual contributions. Oh my god, I can't say words. Even reading about him hurts. You get cursed, so never say anything ever again. Dunson was inspired to create the Slender Man primarily by Zach Parsons' The Insidious Beast. Stephen King's The Mist reports of Shadow People, Mothman, and the Mad Gasser of Mattoon. Other inspirations for the character were the Tall Man from the 1979 film Phantasm. I feel like I've heard of that. H.P. Lovecraft's The Surrealist Work of William S. Burroughs, and the survival horror video games Silent Hill and Resident Evil. Knutson's intention was to formulate something whose motivation can barely be comprehended, and which caused unease and terror in a general population. Other pre-existing fictional or legendary creatures, which are similar to the Slender Man, include the Gentleman, black-suited pale bald demon from the Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode, Hush, Men in Black, many accounts of which grant them an uncanny appearance, with the unnatural walk and oriental figures. The Question, a DC Comics superhero with a blank face, whose secret identity is Victor Sage, a name similar to Knutson's alias, Victor Surge. In her book Folklore Horror Series and the Slender Man, the development of an internet mythology professor, Shira Chess of the University of Georgia, connected the Slender Man to ancient folklore about fairies. Like fairies, the Slender Man is otherworldly, with motives that are often difficult to grasp. Like fairies, his appearance is vague and often shifts to reflect what the viewer wants or fears to see. And, like fairies, the Slender Man lives in the woods and wild places and kidnaps children. Yeah, oh my god, Slender Man's a fairy! I should have known. No, I know, I watch so much stuff, and I'm like, so you guys just are putting Slender Man everywhere now? Slender Man's just the basis for horror now. Like, I think even Siren Head, he's come out relatively recently, and I'm like, you just made, like, Slender Man, but with a siren on top of his head. People are just like, if it's really tall and really skinny, it's creepy. But I know some really tall and really skinny people in there. Sometimes they're creepy. I can't account for all of them, actually. Some of them are pretty messed up, but I don't know. There's so many things now I see. And also, I didn't even think about the question. I was just like, because you know the Invisible Man, so I thought that's what his thing was. I guess I didn't realize he was that much of a newer character. I thought the question was older. I just remember seeing a video of him recently, and he's like singing and throwing like a plant through a window after someone sneaks in. Like, I think it's Supergirl. She sneaks in, and then the Question's just like singing like, gonna bust open a window, and throws a planter through it. And I'm like, wow, what a cool dude. What an inspiration. But anyway, yeah, no, so many people are... Sometimes I just look at scary stuff now, and I'm just like, wow, that's an obvious copy of this thing, you know? But it's not even, like... I don't know. I mean, I guess it's kind of hard to come up with different things, and if it's creepy and it works, it works. There's no reason to change it. Anyway... Early development. The Slender Man soon went viral, spawning numerous works of fan art, cosplay, and online fiction known as creepypasta, horror stories told in short snatches of easily copyable text that spread from site to site. Divorced from its original creator, the Slender Man became the subject and myriad stories by multiple authors within an overarching mythos. Many aspects of the Slender Man mythos was first appeared on the original Something Awful thread. One of the earliest editions was added by a forum user named Therio Up, who created a folklore story set in the 16th century Germany involving a character called Der Grobman, which was implied to be an early reference to the Slender Man. The first video series involving the Slender Man involved from a post on the Something Awful thread by user Seagars. It tells of a fictional film school friend named Alex Crayley, who had stumbled upon something troubling while shooting his first feature-length project, Marble Hornets. The video series, published in found footage style on YouTube, forms an alternate reality game describing the filmer's fictional experiences with the Slender Man. The ARG also incorporates a Twitter feed and an alternate YouTube channel created by a user named To the Ark. As of 2013, Marble Hornets has over 250,000 subscribers from around the world and received 55 million views. Other Slender Man themed YouTube serials, why is it called serials? Followed, including Everyman Hybrid and Tribe 12. In 2012, the Slender Man was adapted into a video game titled Slender, The 8 Pages. Within its first month of release, the game was downloaded over 2 million times. Several popular variants of the game followed, including Slender Man's Shadow, the Slender Man for iOS, which became the second most popular app downloaded. The sequel to Slender, The 8 Pages, Slender the Arrival, was released in 2013. Several independent films about the Slender Man have been released or are in development, including Entity, and the Slender Man released free online after 10,000 Kickstarter campaign in 2013. It was announced that Marble Hornets would become a feature film. When was that? Did I miss that, or was that one of the things that I watched that wasn't great and I just never looked back at it? I don't know, maybe I need to go back into all my creepy shit. I need to go back and look at it. Because I remember seeing some stuff about Marble Hornets, but I don't know if I actually, I just saw the Slender Man symbol thing, and I remember that thing so much. I was like, that goes on everything now. I had a problem, man. And it never stopped, it just slowed down a little. Anyway, description. Because of Slender Man's fictional mythology has evolved without an official canon for reference, his appearance, motives, habits, and abilities are not fixed, but change depending on the storyteller. He is most commonly described as very tall and thin, with a naturally long tentacle-like arms or mere tentacles, which he can extend to intimidate or capture prey. In most stories, his face is white and featureless, but occasionally his face appears differently to everyone who sees it. He appears to be wearing a dark suit and tie. The Slender Man is often associated with the forest and or abandoned location, and has the ability to teleport. Proximity to the Slender Man is often said to trigger a slender sickness, a rapid onset of paranoia, nightmares, and delusions accompanied by nosebleeds. Early stories featured him targeting children or young adults. Some featured young adults driven insane or to act on his behalf, while others did not. Others claim that investigating the Slender Man will draw his attention. The web series Marble Hornets established the idea of proxies, humans who fall under the Slender Man's influence. Though initially they were simply violently insane rather than puppets of the Slender Man, Marble Hornets also introduced the idea that the Slender Man could interfere with video and audio recordings, as well as the Slender Man symbol, which became a common trope of Slender fiction. Graphic violence and bloody horror are uncommon in the Slender Man mythos, with many narratives choosing to leave the fate of his victims obscure. Shira Chess notes that it is important to note that few of the retellings identify exactly what kind of monster the Slender Man might be, and what his specific intentions are. These points all remain mysterious and usually usefully vague. So, yeah, see, that's the proxies. I don't remember anybody saying just like anybody could be a proxy. I was pretty sure most of the time it was supposed to be like, well, we know for sure that like Masky and Hoodie were the ones that most people associated with being Slender Man's proxies. But then I think a few times it was insinuated that like especially on the ones where people were like, oh my gosh, Slender Mansion or whatever. It was like any of the creepypastas he like showed up to and invited to his mansion. So there was, you know, Jeff, Eyeless Jack, Eyeless Jack, and then Sally and all of them. Ben drowned. I'm just reliving all of this as I talk about it. I want you to know. I don't know if it'll bring it up in here, but I remember there used to be, for some reason, I don't know if this is supposed to be like a poking fun at everybody making different versions of this motherfucker, but there used to be people would be like, sexual offender man, or who were the other ones? I know for sure sexual offender man, because I was always like, wow, what a weird little dude. There's one with a monocle, I'm pretty sure, I don't know. They were just like, these are Slender Man's brothers, and I'm like, why would he have brothers? I guess if he was a creature, there could be like other creatures of his type, you know? Kind of like, obviously, if there's one wolf, there's like a pack of wolves. And since he wasn't like, you know, Jeff was someone who was alive who got bleached and turned crazy. He's probably the next one I'm going to talk about, because he was one of my favorites. And he was another big fan favorite for everybody. Some people were like, oh my god, we're going to marry Jeff. And I'm like, you don't want to marry Jeff. But, I don't know. I just feel like I know there were more, but I feel like all of their excuses of why there would be more was kind of BS, and it was just people being like, I'm gonna make up bullshit. Anyway, which is what all of this is. All of this is bullshit. But still. Anyway, reasons for popularity. Media scholar and folklorist Andrew Peck attributes the success of the Slender Man to his highly collaborative nature. Because the character and its motives are shrouded in mystery, users could easily adapt existing Slender Man tropes and imagery to create new stories. This ability for users to tap into the ideas of others while also supplying their own helped inspire the collaborative culture that arose surrounding the Slender Man. Instead of privileging the choices of certain creators as canonical, this collaborative culture informally locates ownership of the creature across the community in these respects. The Slender Man is similar to campfire stories or urban legends, and the character's success comes on enabling both social interactions and personal acts of creative expression. Although nearly all users understand the Slender Man is not real, they suspend that disbelief in order to become more engrossed when telling or listening to stories. This adds a sense of authenticity to Slender Man. Legend performances and blurs the lines between legend and reality. Keeping the creature as an object of legend dialect, the ambiguity... oh my god, I know that word. Ambiguity... oh my god. Ambiguity... there we go, ambiguity... has led to some confusion over the character's origin and purpose. Only 5 months after its creation, George Norrie, Coast to Coast, AM, and radio call-in show devoted to the paranormal conspiracy theories, began receiving callers asking about the Slender Man. 2 years later, an article in the Minneapolis Star-Tribune described his origins as difficult to pinpoint. Eric Knudsen has commented that many people, despite understanding that the Slender Man was created on the Something Awful forum, still entertain the possibility that he might be real. Shira Chess describes the Slender Man as a metaphor for helplessness, power differentials, and anonymous forces. Peck sees parallels between the Slender Man and the common anxieties about the digital age, such as feelings of constant connectedness and unknown third-party observation. Similarly, Ty Van Horn, the writer for The Elm, has suggested that the Slender Man represents modern fear of the unknown, and in an age flooded with information, people have become unaccustomed to ignorance, that they now fear what they cannot understand. Troy Wagner, the creator of Marble Hornets, ascribes the terror of the Slender Man to its malleability. People can shape it into whatever frightens them most. Tina Marie Boyle noted, Boyer noted that the Slender Man is a prohibitive monster, but the culture boundaries he guards are not clear. The victims do not know when they have violated or crossed them. I mean, I guess, yeah. I don't know. I guess I didn't think too much about what freaked me out about the Slender Man. I was just like, that shit's creepy. If something's coming after me in the middle of the night, I'm gonna get creeped out by it. I don't care about its subtext or what it means. I'm just don't want something coming at me. And yeah, it's very easy to be like, hey, this means this now, or this means this, and like change it to whatever makes you most scared. But I don't know. That you can do that with basically anything on the internet. There's not that much of a big thing. Of course, there's always going to be those people who are like, well, actually, if you read section 4 of blah, 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 this is why this does this. But in the long run, you can make anything scary if you want to think about it. Like, just be like, this flower, did you know that it represents death? Which, I mean, in some cases, flowers do represent death. So, literally anything can be scary. Obviously, I liked scary things, and he was a big scary thing, and it came at me in video games, and scary videos that people made up, you know? Something about it was unsettling, and I liked it. Anyway, now it's gonna tell me about the stabbing, because everybody knows about the stabbing. I think, obviously, everybody, or a lot of people knew about Slender Man and creepypastas before, because it was a pretty big thing for a while. I feel like everybody knew about them, at least in my circle. Obviously, there were people who didn't. They were just in there. They bullied me, you know? They bullied me because they didn't like my things, I guess. I don't know. But they obviously didn't care that much about Slender Man. But me and my friends, we liked Slender Man. And then after the stabbing, a lot more people knew about Slender Man and were like, oh, that's bad. And then if you liked Slender Man or anything, they were like, are you gonna go crazy and stab somebody? Which is sort of logical thinking, but also sometimes there's just people who take it way too far. Oh my gosh. Okay. Waukesha stabbing. On May 31st, 2014, two 12-year-old girls in Waukesha, Wisconsin, held down and stabbed a 12-year-old classmate 19 times. When questioned later by authorities, they reportedly claimed that they wished to commit a murder as the first step to becoming proxies for the Slender Man. Having read about it online, they also stated that they were afraid that Slender Man would kill their families if they did not commit the murder. After the perpetrators left the scene, the victim crawled out of the woods to a roadway. A passing cyclist alerted authorities, and the victim survived the attack. Both attackers have been diagnosed with mental illnesses, but have also been charged as adults and are facing up to 65 years in prison. One of the girls reportedly said Slender Man watches her, can read minds, and could teleport, which lines up with what people say. I know in most of the stories I read about, like, proxies and stuff, they were like, oh yeah, if you become a proxy, most of the time your family dies, or like you kill your family or something, kind of an initiation. But in most of them that I saw, proxies were like, I think a lot of the reason why some people attached to these guys so much too was like the abuse aspect of it, you know? Like some kids were like abused, or like they didn't feel like they were being treated right. And so in a lot of these stories, it's like abused kids or something that turn into these monsters. Like I think in Tiki Toby's, maybe, I think it's like an uncle or something that beats him up and he sets the house on fire. I don't know. But basically it's, I don't know. These girls took it out of context, like way out of context. Or they had the context, they're just like brains where like, this is real life. They're obviously, he likes murder, we've decided we also like murder, and since we've decided to murder, now he's gonna murder our families if we don't do the murder. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know their brains. I'm not in them. I haven't talked to these girls personally. I don't know. Experts testified in court that she also said she conversed with Lord Voldemort and one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm sorry, I understand Lord Voldemort, because, another big bad, but who? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Which one was as bad as Lord Voldemort and Slender Man? Was it Raph? I mean, obviously not Raph and Bryce, but all the other Raphs are pretty angry. Is that the one she was talking to? I can't think of any Ninja Turtle that would be on par with Lord Voldemort and Slender Man. On August 1st, 2014, she was found incompetent to stand trial and her prosecution was suspended until her condition improved. On November 12th, 2014, a doctor judged that her condition had improved enough for her to stand trial. And on December 19th, 2014, the judge ruled that both girls were competent to stand trial. In August 2015, the presiding judge ruled that the girls would be tried as adults. They were tried separately. On August 21st, 2017, one of the girls, now 15, pleaded guilty to being a party to attempted second-degree homicide, but claimed she was not responsible for her actions on grounds of insanity. Although prosecutors alleged that she knew what she was doing was wrong, the jury determined that she was mentally ill during the attack. She will spend at least 3 years in a mental hospital. On December 21st, Waukesha County Circuit Judge Michael Boren sentenced Weir, then 16 years old, to be hospitalized for 25 years from the date of the crime, which would keep her institutionalized until age 37. That feels correct. In a statement to the media on June 4th, 2014, Eric Knudsen said, "I am deeply saddened by the tragedy in Wisconsin, and my heart goes out to the families of those affected by this terrible act." He stated he would not be giving interviews on the matter. On September 25th, 2017, it was reported that Morgan Geyser, then 15, had agreed to plead guilty to attempting to commit first-degree homicide in an arrangement that would allow her to avoid jail time. On February 1st, 2018, the Associated Press reported that Geyser had been sentenced to 40 years in the Wisconsin mental hospital, the maximum sentence allowed. That makes sense. These girls obviously needed mental help. Sometimes, well, obviously all the time, mentally ill people, they cling to whatever they're most connected to, Like, if someone really likes the Powerpuff Girls, maybe they'll, obsess over it, and sometimes whenever your brain is harming you that much, it makes up these things, or it convinces you that these characters want you to do these things, so in their brain they could be like, oh yeah, Bubbles told me that I need to buy 15 million copies of of Lord of the Rings, Your brain sometimes attacks you, and it'll use the things around it to make you worse, And if these girls had gotten, if people had paid attention and gotten them the help, they had probably exhibited signs before. I don't know all of these girls' story. I've known snippets and bits that I've seen, but because obviously it was everywhere. But I feel like there were probably signs before this, and their parents just brushed it off as they're being weird, little, moody teenagers. And then someone got hurt. So, the moral of that story is parents need to pay attention to their kids. Don't stop them from, indulging in the stuff that they like. But if your kid is showing, signs of mental distress, any type of, whether that be depression or violence or something, I hear all sorts of horror stories and stuff, or true crime things, and most of these people have shown signs before that they were gonna do something bad later on, and the parents just were boys will be boys, or my kid's just a little weird or quirky or something. If a lot of the times, if people had just given their kids the amount of care that they needed to get through that situation, it would not have been as bad. Like, yes, Slender Man is creepy, you know? And some people take it a little more seriously than others. But there are so many things that point to it being fake. And even if he was real, I don't think he would tell kids, you know, to actually murder, you know? He seems like one of those dudes who would just murder himself. I know the whole proxy thing got brought up, but I think usually in the proxy things, it's kids who have already done something, or like they were gonna do something previously anyway, and then that's how they became proxies. At least in the stories that I remember reading. I haven't read them in a while, so it might have been different, but just word to the wise, if your child or your friend seems like they're having some mental issues, maybe seek help for them. Don't just let them go on doing things, because it'll turn bad. Anyway, moral panic and other incidents. The stabbing in Waukesha spawned a nationwide moral panic over Slender Man across the United States. Parents across the nation became worried about the potential dangers that stories about Slender Man might pose to their children's safety. Russell Jack, the police chief of Waukesha, warned that the Slender Man stabbing should be a wake-up call for all parents, and the internet is full of dark and wicked things, a warning which numerous media outlets publicized. After hearing the story, an unidentified woman from Cincinnati, Ohio, told the WLWT TV reporter on June 2014 that her 13-year-old daughter had attacked her with a knife and had written macabre fiction, some involving the Slender Man, where the mother said motivated the attack. On September 4th, 2014, a 14-year-old girl in Port Richey, Florida, allegedly set her family's house on fire while her mother and 9-year-old brother were inside. Police reported that the teenager had been reading online stories about Slender Man, as well as Atsuki Okubo's manga Soul Eater. Damn it. I was going to bring up Soul Eater because it was like, oh yeah, another one of my creepy things. But that was also a hyperfixation I had for a while with Soul Eater. It's like super creepy and super scary. I don't think anybody sets anybody on fire in Soul Eater though. Like, I've rewatched it several times. I don't remember anyone setting anybody on fire. I did really want to turn into a weapon or have somebody who turned into a weapon. That'd be so cool. It'd be so cool. But yeah, I do understand where the craziness comes from of these people. Once again, it usually, yes, you need to, like, be cautious of what people consume. You need to make sure it's not, like, actually, like, making them think these things are real, this is something that I should do. With Soul Eater, it's obviously an animation. That doesn't stop people. Obviously, people, if they attach to something enough, it doesn't matter how fake-looking it is, how obviously fiction it is, people are going to attach to it and their minds are going to do what they please with it. But a lot of people focus too much on the media part of it, which, yeah, media does have a lot to do with it. Obviously, if you see something going on TV, you're going to be influenced by it, like fashion. A lot of people, now that the internet is so readily available, more now in, like, 2023 than back in 2014, they're, like, everybody has all these opinions all the time, and some opinion, obviously it's opinion, so there's, like, no right or wrong, sort of, you know, just be a good person, but everybody has opinions, everybody can read all these facts, everybody can read all these things that are not facts and take them as fact. People can be influenced by so many things, but you gotta take in their mental state also. Sorry. I breathed in air too much, I guess. Once again, this comes down to, yeah, obviously, those things do influence them, but their mental state, there are probably signs before they do these things. Most people don't just wake up and be like, I'm gonna burn something down, unless they have like a mental snap. But there should have been signs, you know? There are usually some signs, and sometimes the signs are very little. But if you know your person, or you feel like there is something going on in their brain, even now, you know, we talk about mental health all the time. But some people still don't take it that seriously. Obviously, there's a lot of jokes like, I don't want to lose my sparkle, ha ha ha, all the personalities in my head, you know, people make all the mental health jokes. But genuinely, if you think someone is actually having a problem, if you think someone is actually going to be violent, like I said, almost all of these things, all these murderers and stuff, people saw they were acting like this as children or while they were younger, and they let them go on, and they did bad stuff. If you see someone or something that is doing something that seems dangerous or seems like it will lead to something more dangerous, if someone's mental health is that bad, you need to call somebody. If you feel like they will harm someone, you need to call someone. You need to get them help. Don't just be like, well, you know, sometimes they're weird. Sometimes people just have feelings, you know. Like, there are so many, like, school shooters where parents are just like, well, you know, he said something about the guns and stuff, but I just thought, you know, since we have guns and he likes them so much, that it was just a normal thing. I didn't think he was actually going to go shoot his classmates. Like, people need to actually pay attention. It's been a problem forever. It's not just a new problem that people have. No one pays attention, and they're like, we don't know why I got stabbed 15 times by my child. They said they were going to stab me, but I thought they were joking, you know? Like, get help. Anyway, Pasco County Sheriff's Office said the girl had visited the website that contains a lot of the Slender Man information and stories. It would be safe to say there is a connection to that. During an early 2015 epidemic of suicide attempts by young people ages 12 to 24 on the Pine Ridge, Indiana reservation, Slender Man was cited as an influence. The Oglala Sioux tribe president noted that many Native Americans traditionally believed in a suicide spirit, similar to the Slender Man. Other Sioux described the Big Man as a messenger or a sign, warning that society is developing in a dangerous direction. A documentary film on the incident called Beware the Slender Man, directed by Irene Taylor Brodsky, was released by HBO Films in March 2016 and was broadcast on HBO on January 23, 2017. After the Waukesha stabbing and the negative media attention it generated irreversibly altered the Slender Man legend and the online community surrounding it. What had previously just been a creepy horror meme, to most people suddenly acquired a new level of reality that most fans of Slender Man found horrifying. Meanwhile, by around the same time, the Slender Man character had lost much of its original popularity. Most of the original blogs that had once been devoted to Slender Man either shut down completely or became less popular. Slender Man's presence in mainstream popular culture also contributed to a decline in how frightening he seemed to many people. The late 2010s also saw an increase in benevolent portrayals of Slender Man, with many depictions of him from this period portraying him as an anti-hero who protects victimized children from bullies, although often by violent means. In some portrayals of Slender Man from the late 2010s, he has a daughter named Skinny Sally, who is portrayed as a young girl covered in cuts and bruises. Slender Man sometimes is portrayed carrying Skinny Sally on his shoulders protectively. Lynn McNeil, assistant professor of folklore at Utah State University, observed that the increase in benevolent portrayals of Slender Man seemed to have begun shortly after the stabbing at Waukesha, and states that the trend towards the benevolent Slender Man may be a reaction by fans to the character of the violence of the stabbing. That makes sense. Sally. I remember Sally. I don't remember her being called Skinny Sally, though. But I remember Sally. She was abused, and then Slender Man took her in. And in almost every story, every fan fiction or whatever I read, she would be there, and everybody would be like, well, this is Sally. She's the one little kid we can't murder because, you know, everybody, I guess, was immortal after they became the thing. I don't know. It makes sense that people dropped off because that's a big scare. And you don't want to be associated with that because obviously now if you look a certain way, people associate with you with mass shootings and stuff after Columbine. So if you like Slender Man or you talk about Slender Man too much, people are going to associate you with the stabbing, and they're going to be like, oh, this person's going to go crazy. And, I mean, it's understandable. You want to be, like, hyper-aware and very, like, conscious about the people around you, especially around tragedies and stuff. But at the same time, you know, it is fake. I don't know. Maybe in my brain, even whenever I was doing the whole Slender Man is real thing, I never thought of it to the point of, I'm gonna go murder someone, you know? It was never, I'm gonna go seek out this benevolent thing. Yes, of course I want to go ghost hunting, and I want to go, like, cryptid hunting and stuff. But I don't want to, like, harm anybody. Even back then, whenever I was like, oh yeah, I'm for sure gonna be friends with, like, Jack and all them. It wasn't, like, I knew I wasn't gonna hurt anybody. I just liked all my creepy shit. Never mind, I'll deal with that later. I don't know. It makes sense that it lost popularity. It sucks. I mean, obviously, people still talked about it. People will probably always still talk about it, but it's a whole thing. Despite the decline in popular interest in Slender Man, commercial adaptations of the character continued. In 2015, the film adaptation of Marble Hornets, titled Always Watching a Marble Hornet Story, was released on VOD, where the character was portrayed by Doug Jones. In 2016, Sony Pictures' subsidiary Screen Gems partnered with Mythology Entertainment to bring a Slender Man film into theaters with a title character portrayed by Javier Botet. The film generated considerable controversy soon after it was announced, with many accusing the filmmakers of trying to capitalize off the Waukesha stabbing. Bill Weir, the father of Anissa Weir, stated, "It's absurd that they want to make a movie like this. All we're doing is extending the pain all three of these families have gone through." The progressive advocacy group Care2 created an online petition which received over 19,000 signatures demanding that the film not be released, labeling the film crass commercialism at its worst, and a naked cash grab built on the exploitation of deeply traumatic event and the people who lived it. Sony representatives insisted that the film was based on the fictional character that had become popular online and not the Waukesha stabbing. Upon its release in August 2018, the film Slender Man, despite being declared a box office bomb and receiving both little marketing and overwhelmingly negative reviews from critics, went on to gross several times its $10 million budget worldwide. David, I can't say that last name, Eldlick of IndieWire gave the film a D, writing a tasteless and an audibly undercooked serving of the internet's stalest creepypasta. Slender Man inspires to be, for the YouTube era, what The Ring was to the last crafts of the VHS generation. But there's one fundamental difference that sets the two movies apart. The Ring is good. The Slender Man is terrible. Writing for The Verge, Carly Velossi called the Slender Man movie a nail in the coffin of a dying fandom. Okay, well, true. I think creepypasta, though, has kind of evolved. You know, back then it was just, you know, creepy stuff and the stabbing. Oh my god, the rake. I just remember the rake. That dude was weird. I remember so many creepy gifs that I used to have on my thing, and, like, one of them was, like, the rake and his little, like, creepy, like, turned over body. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, from what I remember of the movie, it wasn't that great. And I understand people being upset about the movie being released. It's kind of like all the drama with all of the Jeffrey Dahmer stuff. You know, people being upset because it feels like their family's being violated. It feels like something's being made light of what happened to them. I think a lot of it, obviously Slender Man's fake. I'm going to say that a million times in this, and I'll say it a million times forever. Obviously they're fake. They're not real. Some people's brains just latch onto something and they make it a big deal because they are mentally ill. It's proven these girls were mentally ill. I feel like, especially since it wasn't based off of the stabbing, you know? It was just the story in general. From what I saw of it, it didn't have anything to do with the stabbing. I think it mostly, like, messed with their phones or something while they were in a house. I can't remember. It was forever ago. But, I don't know. I don't know. I'm getting tired, and it's just, I feel like there's nothing that I can really add to this, you know? I wasn't there. I don't know what these people are actually feeling. Obviously, I would probably feel bad if I was in their position. But also the horror buff or creepypasta buff in me, whatever I am, is like, it's not really harming anybody. It's just a thing. If anything, it should be putting out awareness. Like, hey, look at this dangerous thing. Don't do this dangerous thing. And I know a lot of the time we romanticize the scary characters and stuff, and we romanticize mental illness, and we romanticize all this stuff, and that's dangerous, because then people are like, wow, amazing, I'm gonna go stab somebody, or I'm just gonna, like, not take my meds because my sparkle, and all that. But I don't know. I know it could bring awareness to a situation. It could just be entertainment and no one could take it seriously. And then it could also obviously backfire and inspire more people or harm people. But that's the case with any media. Like Euphoria. That's, like, so many people are probably, like, toxic to their friends and, like, taking drugs because Euphoria did all that stuff. And people are like, I want to be like Euphoria. But in the other aspect, people are like, wow, now I want to do makeup, or I want to do this. Like, it's going to inspire different people. No matter what you do, different people are going to be inspired by different things. You could show somebody the happiest thing on the planet, and someone could be like, the darkness of all this happiness is just enveloping me. And I'm like, okay, you need to chill. I don't know. It's just how everyone takes everything. Anyway, folkloric qualities. Several scholars have argued that despite being a fictional work with an identifiable origin point, the Slender Man represents the form of digital folklore. Shira Chess argues that the Slender Man exemplifies the similarities between traditional folklore and the open-source ethos of the internet, and that unlike those of traditional monsters such as vampires and werewolves, the fact that the Slender Man's mythos can be tracked and signposted offers a powerful insight into how mythos and folklore form. Chess identifies 3 aspects of the Slender Man mythos that tie into folklore, collectively meaning that it is created by a collective rather than a single individual. Variability, meaning that the story changes depending on the teller and the performance, meaning that storyteller's narrative changes to reflect the audience's response. Andrew Peck also considers the Slender Man to be an authentic form of folklore and notes its similarity to emergent forms of offline legend performance. Peck suggests that digital folklore performance extends the dynamics of face-to-face performance in several notable ways, such as by occurring I don't know how to say that word, assertionously, encouraging imitation and personalization, while also following perfect replication, combining elements of oral, written, and visual communication, and generating shared expectations for performances that an act group's digital legend. Identity despite the lack of physically present group. He concludes that the Slender Man represents a digital legend cycle that combines the generic conventions and emergent qualities of oral and visual performance with the collaborative potential of networked communication. I know how to say words. Jeff Tolbert, who accepts the Slender Man as folkloric and suggests it represents the process he calls reverse ostension. Ostension in folklorics is the process of acting out a folk narrative. According to Tolbert, the Slender Man does the opposite by creating a set of folkloric-like narratives where none existed before. It is an iconic figure, produced through a collective effort and deliberately modeled after an existing and familiar folklore genre. According to Tolbert, this represents 2 processes in one. It involves the creation of new objects and new disconnected examples of experiences, and it involves the combination of these elements into a body of traditional narratives, modeled on existing folklore, but not wholly indebted to any specific tradition. Gosh. Professor Thomas Petit of the University of Southern Denmark has described the Slender Man as being an exemplar of modern age's clothing of the Gutenberg parenthesis, the time period of the invention of the printing press to the spread of the web, in which stories and information were codified in discrete media, to return to an older, more primal forms of storytelling, exemplified by oral tradition and campfire tales, in which the same story can be retold, reinterpreted, and recast in different tellers, allowing the lore to expand and evolve with time. Despite this folkloric qualities, the Slender Man is not the public domain. Several ventures involving the Slender Man have unequivocally acknowledged Knudsen as a creator of this fictional character, while others were civilly blocked from distribution, including the Kickstarter's funded film. After legal complaints from Knudsen and other sources, though Knudsen himself has given his personal blessing to a number of Slender Man-related projects, the issue is complicated by the fact that while he is the character's creator, a third party holds the options to any adaptations into other media, including film and television. The identity of this option holder has not been made public. Knudsen himself has argued that the enforcement of copyright has less to do with money than with the artistic integrity. I just want something amazing to come of it, something that's scary and disturbing and kind of different. I would hate for something to come out and just be kind of conventional. In May 2016, the media rights to Slender Man were sold to production company Mythology Entertainment, but the company split up in 2019, leaving the ownership and the character's rights in question. So, I don't know if that means anybody now can make something for him. I don't know. I feel like everything's died down enough that people don't really care. And there's been so many different spin-offs of the type of character that Slender Man is that it doesn't really matter. But I don't know. See, people have been making up scary, creepy stuff since the beginning of time. Slender Man, his big thing is that he's just on the internet. He was just made during the time of the internet. And he was made at a time where we could fake evidence. And so people put so much stock in, other stuff, like vampires and werewolves and stuff. There are people who were murdered with the thought that they might be a vampire. So it doesn't matter what day and age it is, really. Someone's gonna murder, someone's gonna take whatever idea, whatever story you've told, and they're gonna turn it into whatever they need to so they can murder or they can do what they feel in their head that they should do. And that sucks a lot because some people just want to tell stories, or some people just want to create something creepy. They just want to put something out there. And sometimes it turns into a lot more than what you think it was going to. He made the Slender Man, Knudsen made the Slender Man as just something cool, to put out there, to be a little creepy. And it turned into this. He didn't mean for it to be creepy in now there's an actual murder attached to it, now other people are killing because of it. But you can't really control how people take the things you say. You can mean something in the most good intended way, and there will almost always be somebody out there who's like, well, they insulted me, my mother, and all of my future bloodlines. You can't make everybody happy. He didn't even intend to make people happy. He intended to make people creeped out. And people took it to such an extreme that now everyone's creeped out. Not just a few people. I don't know. I love creepypasta. I love Slender Man. Obviously not the point of murdering, just to the point of annoying you with a really long video about Slender Man. All of these videos are probably going to be super long from now on because they're things that I really, really did enjoy, really did hyperfixate on. And as I watch stuff, or as I reread stuff and re-go through stuff, I'm obviously going to remember things. And it's going to be very reminiscent to me. So if you like super long videos of a girl rambling on about her thoughts on scary things, you are for sure in the best place. So, anyway, this has been a really long time. You're probably tired. Have have a good day or night, or have a good whatever time you are. Don't murder anybody. Don't get murdered. Be safe. Make good decisions. Don't be stupid. Stay healthy. Don't become a proxy. Don't try to become a proxy. If someone says they're Slender Man, or you start hallucinating Slender Man, get help. Please get help. If you see somebody who acts like they're gonna start doing bad things, get them help. Don't just be like, oh, they're weird. Like, get them help. Give them help. It's better for someone to be a little bit upset at you because they had to go talk to a therapist, or like they had to be like checked out, than for a bunch of people to get murdered or for other people to get hurt because you were just like, well, they're just being a little funny, a little weird, you know? Don't let people get hurt just because you want to look past it. I don't care if it's your kid, I don't care if it's your cousin. Obviously, don't be walking up to random people and just being like, you look creepy. We're putting you in an insane asylum. Like, if they give you reasonable cause to be concerned, and I know some people hide it really well, but if someone gives you reasonable cause to be concerned, please get help. For them. For everybody, get help. Anyway, stay safe, don't die. Don't murder anybody. Bye!